Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Yard Podcast with your hosts, Constable and Brandon Cox, and the Super Bowl matchup. Brady, what Super Bowl number is this?
50, shoot, 58.
52. 58?
58?
Oh my,
Yeah,
we're getting old. I remember it was like
yeah.
42. Anyway, Super Bowl 58 is underway next week as we record here on February 1st. So Brandon and I are going to get into the matchup and predict who we think is going to come out on top between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs, with Mahomes and Kelsey and Andy Reid. And you got the underdog Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle. They got it all. On paper, you would think the Niners are the favorite to win. I think they are favored by like 1.5.
Vegas got them just 2 point favorites right now.
Two
It opened
points.
2.5, moved around a little bit. It's kind of settled in at 2 right now.
Yeah, I can't believe it's Super Bowl 58. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brandon and I are gonna get right into it here on In the Yard. So obviously, Chiefs go into Baltimore. We said this in our previous episode. Go into Baltimore, take care of business, and advance to Super Bowl. Niners slow start against the Lions, but we're able to come out on top after the comeback. So Brandon's not really much to talk about from either side of team standpoints. It's gonna be whoever really, I think, in my opinion, comes down with that one big play, the one big turnover.
Sure.
It's what it's gonna come down to with these two powerhouse teams. You could say we said this in our previous episode. The Chiefs are kind of building a dynasty here. And on paper, the San Francisco 49ers are a juggernaut. And I know a lot of people don't like this matchup for some reason. I know people are sick of seeing Chiefs. People are probably sick of seeing the 49ers, but the 49ers haven't really won anything
People are sick of
in our
seeing
lifetime.
Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift happy too, which is weird. But
Yeah.
I mean,
I can see
I
why
don't get all
people
that,
don't
but
love all the Taylor Swift, just because I promise I wouldn't talk about Taylor Swift, but I feel like the whole dating Kelsey thing. I felt like it was a little bit of a publicity stunt, a little bit like that's kind of how it felt.
but
It's just
here's
because
the
it was so
thing.
especially look, my brother's a big Braden, our technical producer, is a big Taylor Swift guy, and he said he really thought that she was doing this for PR at the start, especially since
Really?
it was so fast of a turnaround from her last boyfriend. I don't know who her last boyfriend was, but
Yeah, yeah.
it was such a fast turnaround. He felt like it was kind of a PR stunt, but at this point, doesn't seem to be anymore.
See, I understood the argument that was like, oh, like I don't like Taylor Swift in the NFL because I think that she's a distraction for the team and Kelsey, right? And that argument may have worked for like most of the regular season, but not anymore because they're
Right.
in the Super Bowl and they've turned it on completely. So I definitely wouldn't say she's been a distraction. I think it's kind of weird when people are like obsessively mad that Taylor Swift is like in the spotlight. Like the broadcast barely even shows her.
You know
Like, you
how
know what I
much
mean?
money
Like,
she's bringing into the NFL and how much the
yeah,
NFL
like
is
if
paying
you're
to
a fan
her.
of the game, like who cares really? At the end of the
Right.
day, um, it's all funny, you know. They're having a good time. I think it's awesome.
It feels like a little bit of a publicity stunt, but when we're
No,
with
sure.
I
And it
am I
totally
am
might be.
yeah.
It totally might be, but like they're in the Super Bowl, so like who cares?
Yeah.
You're gonna tell me the NFL
That's what
scripted? Like,
that's what the Super Bowl is. It's literally an advertisement fest. That's all the
yeah,
Super Bowl is. Like,
yeah, it's perfect.
yeah. Um, I figured I lost my train of thought. I was gonna say one more thing. Oh, Taylor Swift will likely be able to make the Super Bowl, so I'm
I
not
did
losing
see
any
that.
now. So after her concert in Tokyo, she's flying back to Vegas, basically going back in time because it's like 16 hours ahead in Tokyo or something.
Yeah, something crazy like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just crazy. But I'm sure she'll find a way to get there. I just don't know how she'll be able to afford the tickets.
It's just not like she has private jets and is doing like,
Yeah.
millions, not millions of shows, but like hundreds of shows across the world, like right
Yeah.
now.
Hmm. Interesting. Man,
Hard ticket to come by.
Travis must be paying for her.
I think
I think he
Donna
actually does.
Kelsey, I
Like, do you
think
think he pays for her ticket, or do you think she pays her own ticket? Like, honestly.
I think the players probably each get like a set of a few tickets.
That's probably what it
that they're
is.
just
They don't get
given.
much though. They don't get much.
Probably get like enough. Jason's gonna be there, Donna's
Yeah.
gonna be
So
there, and
so
Taylor's gonna
say
be
so
there.
say you get 3 tickets. Say Travis gets 3 tickets, right?
Dude, these
Obviously, it's
people
probably gonna
make
be Jason,
millions of dollars. You think that they're
mom.
concerned about paying to they're all in a suite anyway. Like you can't
Yeah,
even touch those
yeah,
tickets.
but you know how much those suites are? So that's what I'm seeing. Like, do you think like Taylor is probably worth more than Travis? So do you think
No question.
so do you think Taylor is gonna make Travis pay, or do you think she'd be like, I got this?
We're
Or do you
getting
think
way
they
off
do you
track
think
here.
they don't even know? They just tell her their agents make sure that they're here and figure out
Yeah,
the rest.
something like that. Like that there's no money, there's no like credit card swipe. It just happens.
Yeah. The
When you've
magical
got that much
snap.
money.
The magical snap.
Exactly.
All right. All right. Away from that topic, let's get into the actual Super Bowl matchup. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant versus Patrick Mahomes, the mini goat. Braeden, how are you feeling? I think I didn't want to see the Chiefs here. But like we talked about last up, they're almost a dynasty at this point. They're going to be here for a while, it seems like. So I got to start getting used to it.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really fun Super Bowl. I think the people who don't like the Super Bowl are just like they just are tired of seeing the Chiefs win because really we haven't seen the 49ers in that
Yeah,
many
that's what I
Super
mean.
Bowls. We
Like they're
saw
like,
them
oh, it's always
previously.
the 49ers, always the 49ers. I've seen the 49ers in
Nah,
the Super
it's
Bowl
really not.
twice in my lifetime, I think.
Three times
Three.
because they lost against the Ravens. Well, you've seen it twice. It's going to be a third.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like Ravens,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
lost. They lost to the Ravens and they lost to the
and they
Chiefs.
lost the Chiefs. Yeah,
But they
they haven't
haven't
won a
won
Super
yet.
Bowl in like no, they haven't won a Super Bowl since like since the 90s. I'm pretty
Montana.
sure, maybe the 80s. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, so I don't get why people are like mad about this because I think this is like awesome. Like you're getting the team that like looks like the juggernaut in the 49ers, right? But have had a few miscues, have had a few slow starts, especially in playoff games, versus the Kansas City Chiefs and a team that has gone on the road to the 2 seed in Buffalo and the 1 seed in Baltimore and completely dismantled what they did well all year. So I think
Yeah.
this is going to be really fun to
Yeah.
watch.
On paper, like I said earlier, I think the Niners probably have the better roster.
Sure.
But the Chiefs, of course, have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid. So I think it's going to be a dogfight. I know you said Vegas, 2.5 for the
Vegas
Niners.
likes the
I
Vegas
don't
likes
like
the
that. I
49ers.
think
Yeah, right now.
I think it should be 2.5 Chiefs, if anything.
Yeah.
Especially since they have Mahomes,
I can
especially since
understand.
and I don't shouldn't really do transit property, but the Ravens beat up on the Niners in the regular season toward the end of the year, and then Kansas City goes into Baltimore and then beats up on them. But anything could happen. I think it's going to be a good game, but we'll give you our predictions here in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too mad with that spread because they have to favor one or the other. And I think it makes sense, like you said, roster wise. 49ers are probably better. I mean, they've got Debo, they've got George Kittle, they've got dogs like offensive on the offensive side of the ball besides someone like a Purdy, besides Christian McCaffrey, right? The Chiefs' best receiver right now is Rashid Rice and Valdez Scanling. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, but
who's the and they obviously they have Kelsey, right? But I'm talking like out if you take away the tight end, like
like they're
who's their best
wideouts, yeah,
wideout? Exactly. Debo, Rashid Rice. Like, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's night and day.
but like you could
Go
also
ahead.
say like Mahomes and Purdy, like you're going to take Mahomes
Oh,
as good as season Purdy has had.
100%. But
So
exactly. But my point here is I think the reason why Vegas prefers 49ers, because I think both these teams have really good defenses, top five defenses in the NFL, is Vegas looks at the skill position, the talent at the skill position, and they say, okay, well, the 49ers have McCaffrey, Kittle, Debo.
right,
Enough said. You know what I mean?
that's
So
fair.
maybe the point spread could be a little bit lower, but like I'm not shocked that the 49ers are favored here. And then the over under is 47.5 points.
Hmm.
What do you think about that?
I was just gonna ask what the line was, what the over under was. 47.5. Give me a second to think. I don't know. It could go either way. It could be like kind of like last time where it's kind of more defense until like the fourth quarter there in the last
Yeah,
last time they faced
totally.
off. But it could also be just an absolute shootout, kind of similar to the Niners and Lions game. 47. So that's probably like what,
It's
24 to
like 24 points a
25.
person. Yeah, something like
25,
that.
20. That's tough. That's a tough overall.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to bet it. I wouldn't want to bet it,
yeah,
but
I
if I
agree.
had to choose,
Like last year, I would
I
have
would say
said
the
for
over. I
sure.
would take the over, I think. I think it's gonna be like high. It's gonna be like 28, 24, something
That's
like
fair.
that.
That's fair. I mean, like look at the uh what was it? The Lions and the 49ers. Like that was like in the 60s. You know what I mean? Like you don't really
Yeah.
know what you're gonna get. Especially, in a Super Bowl matchup where like even last year, like I was just about to say, like the Eagles and the Chiefs, like it was like in the 30s again. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I think the final was like 38-35 or something. So we're
Yeah,
talking like ton.
they hammered the over. Like
Yeah.
they crushed it. I thought it was gonna be the under because I think people are sleeping on both of these defenses. But I think
Are you
the
talking about
wet
last year or this
field
year?
last year's
Yeah.
Eagles Chiefs, like um I thought both defenses were fine, but like the wet conditions of last year's field, I think
Yeah.
it really did have an effect on the defenses. So I think that's why it was such a they killed the over by so much.
Yeah. The high scoring. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into our predictions here, right? Was there anything really else to
Yeah.
talk
Yeah. I mean,
about?
there's not really much more to say. We got two high caliber teams who really like you can make a solid argument on both sides. And Vegas agrees. Like I said, they got the 49ers 2.5, probably just skill position wise. Like
Hmm.
they're more talented.
Yeah,
Um, so like it's gonna be a dogfight. It's gonna be
yeah.
really fun. So what are you thinking?
Here's one thing that scares me about the Niners. I felt like Jared Goff picked apart their defense last week, especially in the first half. And I'm also afraid, both the Niners wins have been come from behind wins in these
Yeah,
playoffs. They had slow first halves. I feel like if you start off slow against the Chiefs, they're not going to look back. I don't think they're going to let up
I
the.
agree
I don't think
100% with
I
you.
don't think they're going to be at the Lions or the Packers where they kind of blow it. I think they have enough experience where they just have that killer mentality and just keep
Yeah,
scoring more points. Um, I don't think that the Niners would be able to come back like the past two games. Um, but I did, so that's one main factor for me is not letting the Chiefs get to a 10, 14 point lead, or else it's gonna be a long night for the Niners. And that's what the Chiefs do very well. They get ahead and they just don't look back. So
yeah,
it's gonna be interesting to see. I think it's gonna be important to score first for both teams. So we'll see
yeah,
how that goes.
yeah. You kind of stole the words right out of my mouth. That was the point I was going to make. Is I was like they started off slow against Green Bay. It was 7-6 at halftime against Green Bay.
Yeah.
You think it's going to happen with the Chiefs?
No.
You
I
have
mean,
two. You give
maybe.
you give the Chiefs 2 weeks to prepare.
Yeah.
7-6, something like that. I don't buy it. And they started off even slower, especially defensively against the Lions, right?
Yeah.
So you don't really know. But then you've also seen this team do incredible stuff all year round. So it's tough, right?
Yeah.
It's tough to just be like, oh well, they're gonna do it again, like they did against Green Bay and Detroit. I would say it's probably not likely they do because now you're
Mm-hmm.
giving them 2 weeks to prepare.
It's the Chiefs, man. They're the Chiefs. That's when at the end of the
Yeah,
day. Um,
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, that's one thing that does concern me for the Niners. And also the Chiefs experience. I know the Niners have been there, but the Chiefs have been here and been here and been here again and again and again. And Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. I don't know. I think it's gonna be a fun game overall. I just think I think everything is going in favor of the Chiefs. Like, you have Mahomes at quarterback. The only thing, like you said before, about the Niners is they have that roster depth and they have the skill players needed. But I just think it's gonna be tough. I think it's gonna be a good game, but it's gonna be tough for the Niners. I think the Chiefs should be favored, but we'll see how it goes.
That's a fair argument for sure.
So any other points of emphasis on either side that you wanted to go over before we make our final predictions?
No, not really. I mean, I think we've covered everything. We already talked about their previous matchups in the playoffs and the regular season. Now it all comes down to the Super Bowl. So I think we kind of have to make our prediction here, bud.
Yeah. One more point of emphasis. The Niners were again getting the Lions at third and longs all night
Yep.
last game, and they were letting up a lot of third and long first down conversions. I just again can't let that happen against the Chiefs. Or just going to be a long night for them. Just another thing. I just think As you can probably see I'm going to go with my prediction at this point, but you can go first.
Yeah, so uh I'm going to pick the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game comfortably too. I say probably by 10.
Wow.
Um because dude, like how are you going to deny Patrick Mahomes at this point, man? Like I don't know. I don't know. Let me look up the score of the last Super Bowl that these two teams played.
It was
Uh
31-20, I want to say.
yeah, I just want to know what the score was. 31-20. Yeah, like I could see that. I could see a similar score
Wow.
here.
But the Niners were winning that whole game, and in the fourth quarter they blew it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah.
remembering right?
Yeah, the Niners were up. I don't know how much they were up by, but yeah, they were winning for sure.
I think they were winning like
And
20 to
then
7 in the fourth
Patrick
quarter.
Mahomes happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
And they
Patrick
blew them.
Mahomes
They
had a
ended up blowing
crazy.
them out. Really.
Yeah. Um yeah, so I'm going to say I again, I'm not a betting man, but I would say probably Chiefs. I 7 minimum, I would say.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. And it's not me doubting Purdy or anything about the 49ers. It's me believing in the championship culture of the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's
You give Andy Reid
respectable.
two
No, it's
weeks.
respectable.
You give Andy Reid 2 weeks. We've seen the 49ers look sus against the Ravens. Even Green Bay and Detroit, they didn't look 100%. Like they turned it around in the second half. And like I said, I think this is going to be a fantastic game. But like, you're asking me to bet against Patrick Mahomes
Hmm.
at this point. Like, no, like I can't. I
Yeah,
can't at this point,
that's
right?
good.
As pretty much someone who's unbiased here, who like really doesn't have like that much of like I don't really care so much who wins, right? I'm not really rooting for one or the other. I'm rooting for a good game. I'm not gonna bet against Patrick Mahomes in a big game. Look what he just did the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Two of the biggest games probably of that weren't Super Bowls of his career on the road at Baltimore, at Buffalo, and they dominated. Like I'm not saying he played fantastic, but they're going to be ready.
Yeah. I think the first quarter is really when it can come down to, if the Niners could, hold Mahomes to a touchdown in the first quarter, keep it a 7-point game. Maybe they'll take the lead 7-0. Um, but yeah, I agree. I think the Chiefs are going to end up winning. But they have the experience. They have Mahomes. They have Andy Reid. And I've been doubting the Chiefs all year, again and again and again. They've just been proving me wrong with every pick that I have. Because I picked them to lose to the Dolphins. I picked them to lose to the Bills, and I picked them to lose to the Ravens. They've proven me wrong all 3 times. So I'm not going to pick against them this time, even though I want the Niners to win. I just think I said this before the playoffs started. I said whoever comes out of the AFC is going to win the Super Bowl. I just think the AFC is that
Yeah.
much better. I think the AFC is that much more loaded. I don't think the NFC really. They don't have that quarterback talent that the AFC has. And I just think the AFC as a whole is just better. They have more teams with better rosters, more teams with better quarterbacks. So I'm just going to keep rolling with the AFC here. Like you said, you just can't count out Mahomes and company at this point. It'd just be a bad idea to bet against them, especially since they're underdogs. I feel like most of the time they're
You're
favored, but
eating that up. That's all
whenever
bulletin board
they
material. You know it.
whenever they are underdogs, they seem like they always win. So,
It's
um,
like
but they're
it's
they're
bulletin
very
board
rarely underdogs.
material.
But when they are, they win. So
They love being the underdog right now. They're eating it up. You saw what they were doing to Justin Tucker on the sideline before the game.
yeah,
They're eating it up. They love the fact that people are counting them out. They love it.
right. And
And
so
you made another good point. Go ahead.
now go ahead real quick. You can go.
I was just gonna say you made a good point at the beginning of this episode that you cannot get behind if you're the 49ers because we saw Purdy get behind against Green Bay and he struggled for 90% of that game. Clutched it up at the end. Detroit, they were behind by a lot. And he led an instrumental
And
comeback,
Detroit should have won.
Detroit should have won, right? But the Chiefs are a different beast than the
Right.
Lions. This is a team that has experience, has been there 3 of the past 4 years, and has won twice, and has the best coach in the NFL, the best quarterback in the NFL. You cannot fall behind if you're the 49ers. If you do, I think if this game gets like 10-0 Chiefs, I think it's effectively over. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't bet it, because the 49ers are so talented, but I could see the game getting out of hand if like the 49ers go 3-and-out like twice to start the game and the Chiefs go down and score touchdowns. You know what I mean?
Right. One last point I want to make before we wrap up here. I just think the Niners, I think they should stick with the run game. I think that's what they're going to
Yeah,
do to start. They're going to give to McCaffrey a bunch of times. Don't do what the Bills did. Don't do what the Ravens did and go away from the run game. You got to stick with it, even if it's not working in the first quarter.
absolutely.
But Brady and I are both going Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. It's going to be Patrick Mahomes' third ring, unfortunately, as I don't want to see that, but I just think that's what's going to happen. Thanks everyone for listening. Like, comment, subscribe to YouTube at In the Yard, and give us who you think is going to win the Super Bowl.
Yep. See you guys.